Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Super Sami Roll. This game is developed by Sunzai Games, published by X Plus, and releases on January 9th, 2022, for a price of $14.99. So, what is Super Sami Roll? It's pretty much an adventure-style platformer that takes its inspiration from a ton of different old school-esque platformers, where you're basically given X amount of time to get from one end of a level to the other. It's done in a 3D style, artwork, but sometimes in 2D elements as well. And you basically go around to get from the end of one course to the other. You can collect coins along the way, which add time to your allotment to be able to play the game, as well as you're going to have collectibles in the forms of these like raspberries that you can pick up, as you can see right here on this very beginning level. You can pick up a raspberry and start to do things like that for collectibles. Now, you don't have to collect all the coins in every levels, they're just going to help give you different times, and the game has different tiered levels that you can play at, from a relaxed stage that doesn't really have a time at all the way up to a hard mode that really sets your pace and tone for the game. Now, when it comes to the collectibles, something I really enjoy is they're not straightforward and easy to find. I've spent a couple hours into the game and I still have quite a bit that I can't even locate, and even ones like you can see here off in the distance, they're hard to find or hard to get to initially, so you really have to focus and work at getting things. Now, when you beat levels, you're going to be given kind of a score. It's basically based on how fast you complete those levels, that you'll get ratings, and there are achievements rated to the ranks that you get for levels, as you can see here on this new playthrough. We just popped the S Plus rank achievement, and the whole game is kind of premised around this Mario style, layout, but it just jumps through tons of different like nostalgia type platform stuff with some of the different enemies and little obstacles and guys that you encounter. It really kind of sets its tone and lets you, kind of almost get a throwback to, what video games used to be on like the, N64 era, Dreamcast era, and everything in between with that. The game is kind of generous when it comes to checkpoints, but if you do these harder difficulties, you will find it extremely challenging. This game is not one that I would consider to be a pushover. It's one that, as you get into those later levels, and especially the boss levels, they do get quite challenging. You're pretty much going to do a few stages, I'd say around 10, that kind of vary in what you're really presented, and the game does a great job at changing them up. And then you'll kind of get like a boss stage, and you'll kind of rinse and repeat this as you play through the game. You can constantly try to go back and find the collectibles, either in the relaxed mode where you're not under a time crunch, or see if you can collect everything all while doing that time crunch mode and speed and grab everything. As far as how you find a lot of the collectibles, honestly, it's just playing and looking around. Sometimes they're hidden in places that aren't obvious at all, whether it's inside of a tree that you actually have to interact and jump onto, or you could have to basically kill yourself to pick up one of the raspberries. And little collectible stuff like that are things that I definitely enjoy about Super Sami Roll. It's not a game that literally is just like, here you go, this is how you play it. And it introduces some mechanics into the game. You have your little like gecko-esque tongue that you can do, and that's how you kind of interact and maneuver around in a lot of different obstacles and kind of build up your momentum as you're kind of speeding through and completing things. You can avoid a lot of enemies, or you can kind of tackle and go after everything. It's really up to you how you want to play. It's just basically get to the end of the course as quick as possible before time runs out. And that's really the sprint and race that you play in the pace of this game. Control wise, it's actually not too bad. You're going to get a little clunkiness sometimes when it comes to his tongue and actually being able to like grab onto walls, especially in some of the boss fight areas where it can be a little frustrating, but it's nothing that's too over the top. Now, when it comes to the soundtrack and aesthetics of the game, honestly, I kind of like it. I think they should tone down a little bit of the volumes when it comes to the music. Anybody who picks up the game for the first time will kind of get an understanding of what I mean. I've got it kind of super dulled down on my end because it is a little overbearing, but it doesn't really detract from the gameplay. It really does feel like you're vested into the game, and a lot of the enemies and stuff that are really trying to defeat you definitely really give you a set toned challenge. And it's not a bad little game. I enjoy it for what it is. I do think, as far as the price point that it's coming out with, $15.99, it's not too that bad of a price point, but I would like to have seen maybe closer to that like $10-12 realm for this game. I know $3 isn't a whole lot to really get all excited and upset about, but I think I would have been a little better, just a little lower for what's here, especially considering there's no real like way to compare leaderboards with your friends. The only real stuff you get to do outside of playing the levels is going to these little flying shops here and basically customizing the way your guide looks. You can't really like compete and set standards and tones and try to up your friends in that regard. But what I do really enjoy though about the game is just the variety of levels and content that's here. It doesn't feel like you're rinse and repeating the same level over and over. It really does feel like you're getting an almost new game experience every time you play, even though some of the levels will, ramp up in the difficulty and challenge you pretty good in the game. And for me, that's something I really enjoy. I don't like games that are just constantly pushovers. I want something that's going to make me have to work for it and be a little bit of a kind of push and a go. But overall, though, as far as, in my opinion, a review of Super Sami Roll, I definitely think it's a good game. As far as the price point, I'd like to see it a little lower, but I do definitely think that it is worth the money and worth the pickup if you are a platformer game fan. The achievement list isn't going to be easy. It's going to take you a little bit of time. I'd say out of the people that I know that have completed it, probably a little over 10, between 10 and 20 hours based on your skill level to get all the achievements, and, that can vary, like I said, heavily on your skill level and how open you are with platformers. I do think it's a fun platformer, and you should definitely check it out. Outside of that, though, if you have any questions about the game, as always, please let me know down in the comments. Want to know more, see more gameplay, anything like that, I'll be happy to help. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We'd appreciate you joining our community, hop in our Discord, and, have fun with us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.